Have you ever noticed how happiness feels like this big, heavy expectation? Like it's a destination you're constantly trying to reach, or a performance you're always failing to ace. Maybe you're doing all the right things, checking off the list, showing up, putting on a brave face. But inside, there's still this dull ache, this quiet whisper that says, "Is this all there is?" If that resonates, if you're sitting there right now feeling the weight of unmet joy, and you just wish you could remember how to genuinely smile again, then this conversation is for you. Can I be real with you this morning? I know that feeling. I've lived in it. There was a season where I was doing everything I thought I was supposed to do, providing, working, showing up, and I still couldn't figure out why the happiness everyone else seemed to have just wasn't landing for me. And I think I finally figured out why. It wasn't because something was missing from my life. It was because I was looking in the wrong direction. And here's the thing I want you to hear before we go any further this morning. What if biblical wisdom isn't about adding more pressure to your life? What if it's actually about stripping away everything that's been stealing your joy and leaving you with 3 surprisingly simple rules that can teach your heart to flourish again? 3 rules. That's it. And they're not what you think. God, we're here. Some of us barely made it. Some of us are running on fumes and calling it fine. But we showed up. And you showed up first. So before we open your word this morning, would you just quiet the noise? Not all of it. Just enough so we can hear you. That's all we need right now. Amen. This morning, God put something in front of me that stopped me in my tracks. It's the very first verse of the very first psalm, the opening line of the entire book of songs and prayers. And when I saw what the original word actually means, it changed everything. Listen to this. Blessed is the one who does not walk in step with the wicked, or stand in the way that sinners take, or sit in the company of mockers, but whose delight is in the law of the Lord, and who meditates on his law day and night. That person is like a tree planted by streams of water, which yields its fruit in season, and whose leaf does not wither. Whatever they do prospers. Psalm chapter 1, verses 1 through 3. Let's sit with this. Okay, here's what I didn't see until this morning. That word blessed at the very beginning. In Hebrew, it's not the word you'd expect. Most people hear blessed and think of Baruch, which means God has placed his favor on you. That's a beautiful word, but that's not what's here. The word here is Esher, and Esher doesn't mean blessed by God. It's not a religious word at all. It's an exclamation. It literally means, "Oh, the happiness of," or "How genuinely fulfilling is the life of." Some scholars translate it as flourishing. Others say deeply content. But the simplest, most honest translation? Happy. The very first word of the very first psalm is God saying, "Let me tell you what a happy life actually looks like." And that changes everything about how we read what comes next. Because this isn't a command, it's an observation. God is describing the kind of person who is genuinely, deeply, structurally happy. Not because their circumstances are perfect, but because of where they're looking and what they've stopped carrying. Now, notice something. The very first thing God describes isn't what the happy person does. It's what they stop doing. They stop walking with the wicked. They stop standing with sinners. They stop sitting with mockers. See that progression? Walking, standing, sitting. You slow down, you settle in, you get comfortable. That's how the wrong things take root in your life. Not with a big dramatic choice, but with a slow drift. God's prescription for happiness starts with subtraction, not addition. You can't fill a cup that's already full of the wrong thing. And that brings us to 3 rules. 3 things to subtract. 3 places to stop looking. Rule 1. Don't hate. Life is too short to waste on hating others. 1 John chapter 4 doesn't mince words. It says, "Whoever claims to love God, yet hates a brother or sister, is a liar." Now I know what you're thinking. I don't hate anyone. And maybe you don't. Not the way you picture it. The clenched fists, the shouting, the rage. But here's what caught me. In the original Greek, the word for hate, miseo, doesn't just mean active hostility. It includes the cold stuff, the quiet withdrawal, the decision to stop caring about someone, the text you never return, the name that comes up and you just go still inside. John says that counts. And he doesn't say hate leads to something bad eventually. He says the person carrying it is a murderer. Present tense, not will become, already is. Because hate kills something inside of you long before it ever touches the other person. Proverbs chapter 14, verse 30 puts it in language your body already understands. A peaceful heart gives life to the body, but envy rots the bones. That Hebrew word for rots, rakab, it means literal decay. The writer of Proverbs understood thousands of years ago what your doctor would tell you today. Bitterness isn't just a spiritual problem. It's a physical expense you pay with your own body. Your sleep, your blood pressure, your jaw you didn't even realize was clenched. Hate is expensive, and you're the one paying the bill. But here's the flip side. When you release someone, not because they deserve it, but because you deserve to be free, something physical happens. Your chest loosens, your shoulders drop, you sleep deeper. That's not psychology. That's Proverbs chapter 14, verse 30, in real time. Rule 1. Stop looking backward at the people who hurt you. Your eyes were not designed for the rearview mirror. Rule 2. Don't compare. Be the best version of you. Can I tell you something I've never really talked about? When I was a young boy, my aunt, who had a son exactly 4 months older than me, used to call me the runt of the litter. Her son was about a foot taller than me, more muscular, built like a little athlete, and I was short and thin. So thin my mom had a hard time finding pants that would even fit me. But here's the part that stung the most. My aunt never said it in private. She'd wait. She'd wait until there was an audience, a family gathering, a holiday, a cookout. And then she'd pull us together, side by side, in front of everyone and say, "Look at Bill's son. Can you believe he's the same age as my boy? Look how thin and short he is." And I would just stand there, trying to disappear into myself, feeling like something was wrong with me that I couldn't fix. Now here's the part of the story that'll make you smile. When I hit 15, something happened. I shot up. I filled out. My body finally became what God was building all along. And her son? He stopped growing. Today, I am a head taller, fit, in shape, and he's the one who'd be on the short end of that side-by-side comparison. But here's what that season taught me. My aunt was measuring the outside of an unfinished story. She looked at raw material and called it the final product. God wasn't done yet. And this is where Psalm 139 blows the doors open. David writes that God wove me together in my mother's womb. That Hebrew word, sakak, it's textile language. It means to knit, to interlace, to weave thread by thread. You weren't mass-produced. You weren't stamped out on a line. You were handcrafted by a God who doesn't do duplicates. And verse 16 uses this word, golem, that means an unfinished substance, raw material, an embryo that hasn't taken final shape yet. That was me at 10 years old, a golem, unfinished, still being woven. And my aunt looked at the golem and called it the final product. How many of you are doing that to yourselves right now? You're looking at someone else's chapter 20 and comparing it to your chapter 5. You're scrolling someone's highlight reel at 2 in the morning and wondering why your behind the scenes doesn't look like that. You're measuring an unfinished you against a filtered, curated, carefully staged version of someone else. Jesus dealt with this directly. In John 21, Peter looks at John and asks, "Lord, what about him?" And Jesus says something so sharp and so freeing. "What is that to you? You follow me." The Greek is ti prosē. What is that to you? It's not harsh, it's focused. It's Jesus saying, his lane is not your lane. His timeline is not your timeline. His body is not your body. His story is not your story. Stop watching his race and run yours. Rule 2. Stop looking sideways at someone else's life. God is still weaving yours. Rule 3. Don't worry. The day you stop worrying is the first day of your new life. Jesus asked the question nobody can answer in Matthew 6, verse 27. Can any one of you, by worrying, add a single hour to your life? And the honest answer is no. Not 1 hour, not 1 minute, not 1 second. Worry has never once produced something useful. It's never paid a bill, healed the body, or fixed a relationship. It just takes the one day you actually have and splits your attention across 5 days you don't. That Greek word for worry, merimnao, literally means to be divided, to be pulled into pieces. It comes from merizo, which means to cut apart. That's what worry does. It fragments you. One piece of your mind is in today, another is in tomorrow's meeting, another is stuck in last month's mistake, and another is living in a future that doesn't even exist yet. You're spread across 5 timelines and present in none of them. And here's what no one tells you. Worry isn't foresight. It's a form of blindness. It convinces you that you're being responsible, that you're planning ahead. But all it's really doing is keeping your mind racing at 2 in the morning over a future that doesn't exist yet. I'll tell you where I learned this. When I was younger, my family didn't have money for vacations, no trips, no getaways. And I used to dream about traveling, seeing the world. I'd see other families going places and think, if I could just do that, I'd be happy. Then I got a job that had me traveling all the time. Airplanes, rental cars, hotels, packing and unpacking, living out of a suitcase, eating alone at restaurants in cities where I didn't know a single person. And you know what I discovered? It wasn't all it was cracked up to be. Happiness wasn't on a beach somewhere or in a first-class seat. Happiness was at home. A homemade meal, no suitcase, no missed connections, no stress about where I had to be next, just home. Even if it isn't the perfect home. I spent years worrying that I was missing out on the life everyone else was living. And when I finally got a taste of that life, all I wanted was the one I already had. There's no place like home. Happiness doesn't come from the outside. It never did. It has always lived on the inside. And worry is the thing that keeps you from noticing it's already there. Many of my friends love to travel. They're always going somewhere. And I'm genuinely happy for them. But I've stopped comparing my joy to theirs. Because I know what fills me up. And it's not an itinerary. Not a vacation photo to prove where I've been. It's a kitchen table, a backyard patio, the sunrise, the sunset, and spending time with my dogs and family. Rule 3. Stop looking ahead at a future you can't control. God already lives there, and He's not worried. So why are you? 3 rules for happiness. That's it. Don't hate. Don't compare. Don't worry. And here's the thread that ties them all together. Hate looks back. Comparison looks sideways. Worry looks ahead. Happiness looks up. All 3 are disorders of vision. They're what happens when your eyes drift off the course that God marked out for you. You can't fight them one at a time. You defeat all 3 with one act, redirecting your gaze upward. The writer of Hebrews understood this. Chapter 12, verse 2 says to fix your eyes on Jesus. And that word in Greek, aphero, is stunning. It doesn't just mean look at Jesus. It means look away from everything else in order to see Him. It's a deliberate turning of your entire field of vision, away from the rearview mirror, away from the side window, away from the horizon, and upward. Now I want to try something with you, and I know this might feel a little strange, but stay with me. Right now, wherever you are, in your car, in your kitchen, still in bed, I want you to smile. Not because you feel like it, not because everything's fine, just smile. Did you do it? Here's why I asked. There's something your body knows that your brain hasn't caught up to yet. When you smile, even when you don't feel like smiling, your brain reads those facial muscles and thinks, oh, we must be enjoying this. It releases the good stuff, the calm stuff, the stuff that worry and comparison and bitterness have been blocking for months. Proverbs chapter 15, verse 13 says, "A happy heart makes the face cheerful." And that's true. But sometimes the face has to go first, and the heart follows. Not a fake smile, the real one. The one where your eyes crinkle, where you feel it in your cheeks, where for just a second, your body remembers something your mind forgot. Did you feel that? That little shift? That's not fake. That's not a trick. That's your body agreeing with what God has been saying about you all along. You were built for joy. Not the heavy, performative, exhausting kind. The Esher kind. The deep, quiet, rooted kind that doesn't depend on your circumstances, or someone else's opinion, or a future you can't see yet. You've been looking backward, looking sideways, looking ahead. And all of it has been stealing the one thing God wrote into the very first line of the Psalms for you: happiness. It's time to look up. And I think it's time we talk to God about everything we just heard. Come with me. Before we pray, I want us to do something together. 3 quick moments of honesty. Think of them like 3 mirrors, and all I'm asking is that you look into each one for just a few seconds. First moment of honesty, the rearview mirror, gratitude. Here's what I want you to do. Think of one thing behind you, one hard thing, one season you wouldn't choose again. And instead of replaying the pain, just say thank you for what it built in you. Not thank you for the hurt. Thank you for who you became on the other side of it. That's gratitude with grit. And it's the kind of gratitude that breaks hate's grip on your heart. Name it silently right now. Just one thing. Second moment, the side mirror, honesty. Now look sideways for a second. Whose life have you been watching instead of living your own? Maybe it's a friend's marriage, a coworker's promotion, someone's travel photos, someone's body, someone's family that looks so much easier than yours. You don't have to fix this right now. Just be honest about it. Name the comparison that's been quietly eating your lunch. Got it? Good. Now let it go. That's their chapter. God's writing yours. The third moment of honesty, the windshield, request. Finally, look ahead. Not at the worry, not at the what-ifs, just at today. Ask God for one thing, clarity for the next step. Not the whole road, not the 5-year plan, just the next right step. Because you don't need to see the whole highway to drive the next mile. One thing behind you to be grateful for, one comparison to release, one step ahead to trust God with. That's it. That's enough. Now, as I pray through this, I want to give you a job. Don't just listen. Let a face come to mind, a name. Maybe it's someone you've been resenting. Maybe it's someone you've been envying. Maybe it's just someone you've been too distracted to really see. Hold that face. We're going to bring them with us. Let us pray. Our Father in heaven, God, we come to you this morning not because we have it together, but because you wrote the word happy as the very first word of the very first psalm. You didn't open your songbook with a command. You opened it with a description. You said, "Let me show you what a genuinely fulfilling life looks like." And Lord, we want that life. Not the version the world keeps selling us. Not the filtered, curated, performance-driven version. The Esher version. The one that's rooted so deep it doesn't need applause to know it's real. So thank you. Thank you for not leaving us to figure out happiness on our own. Thank you for putting a map in the very first page of the Psalms. Lord, we're laying some things down this morning. Some of us are carrying a degree that hasn't turned into the career we were promised. We did everything right. The classes, the loans, the late nights, and it still hasn't clicked. And we're tired of pretending we're not disappointed. Some of us are carrying loneliness, not the kind that shows, the kind that sits in a room full of people and still feels invisible. The kind that scrolls through group photos and wonders why no one called. Some of us are carrying resentment toward the very people who gave us everything, because everything still wasn't enough to make us feel whole. And we don't know how to be grateful and unsatisfied at the same time. Some of us are carrying the quiet shame of a dream we let die, a talent we buried, a calling we walked away from because fear felt safer than faith. And we're tired of pretending we don't think about it. Some of us are carrying the weight of a home we can't afford, a relationship we can't find, and a future that feels like a locked door. We lay it down, not because we're strong enough, because your hands are open. Now, God, I want to pray over the people your children will face today. There's a coworker they'll see this morning who always seems to have it together. The promotion, the confidence, the easy laugh. Lord, give your child the eyes to see that everyone is carrying something. That person's highlight reel isn't their whole story either. Replace envy with compassion. There's a friend whose life looks like a vacation, always going somewhere, always posting something, always seeming free. God, protect your child from the lie that happiness lives in someone else's itinerary. Remind them that their kitchen table is sacred ground. There's a parent, a mom or a dad, who tried their best, who gave everything they could. Maybe the relationship is complicated. Maybe there's unspoken tension. Lord, soften that space today. Help your child see provision, even where they expected more. And there are strangers, the ones they'll scroll past, sit beside, pass in the hallway. God, make your child present, really present, not half there with their mind in 5 places. Here, in this moment, with these people, because that's where happiness actually lives. And Lord, we're not praying from above these people. We're praying from among them. I'm right here with you. Because the truth is, we do it too. We scroll when we should be present. We compare when we should be grateful. We complain about the very things we once begged you for. We resent people for habits that look an awful lot like our own. You know what's funny, God? The very thing that attracts us to someone is the very thing that drives us crazy later. We loved that they made us laugh, and now we wish they'd take something seriously. We loved that they were spontaneous, and now we wish they'd plan ahead. Forgive us for forgetting that people are packages, not menus. Search us, Lord. Show us where our eyes have drifted. Show us where we've been looking back in bitterness, sideways in envy, or ahead in fear, and turn our gaze upward. And now we declare over this day, not as a wish, but as a fact backed by your word, the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard our hearts and minds today. Not might, not could, will. That word, phoreo, means you are posting a sentry at the gate of our minds. Worry doesn't get in. Comparison doesn't get in. Bitterness tries to sneak past, and your peace turns it away at the door. We are not fragmented. We are not behind. We are not forgotten. We are guarded, guided, and held. And we declare that today is not a day to perform happiness. Today is a day to look up and find it already waiting for us in your presence. So go, friend. Go into your Tuesday, your Wednesday, your whatever day this is. And here's your one assignment. When someone is kind to you today, and someone will be, say thank you. Not a quick text, not a thumbs up emoji, a real thank you. the kind that makes them pause, the kind that makes them feel seen. And if you can, go one step further. Write the card, send the message, buy the coffee. Do one small, deliberate thing that says to another human being, I see you. You matter. You're not invisible. Because happiness, the Esher kind, the Psalm 1 kind, was never meant to be hoarded. It's meant to be passed. And the fastest way to find it is to give it away. Be still for a moment. You are seen. You are known. You are held. Not because you earned it, because He is good. You were built for joy, the deep kind, the rooted kind, the kind that doesn't wither. Amen. Today's anchor. This is what you carry with you. Write it down if you can. Say it out loud when the meeting runs long, when the text hits wrong, when the scroll starts pulling you sideways. Hate looks back. Comparison looks sideways. Worry looks ahead. Happiness looks up. That's your compass today. Every time your eyes drift, come back to this. 5 truths for today. God is the broadcaster. You are the receiver. These aren't mantras. They're not wishes. They are scripture applied to your life, right now, this morning. Because God is the author of my story, I am not an accident. He wove me together thread by thread. Psalm 139 says so, and He doesn't do duplicates. Because God is peace, I am guarded, not fragmented. Philippians 4:7 says, His peace posts a sentry at the gate of my mind. Worry does not get the final word today. Because God is enough, I am not missing anything someone else has. Galatians 6:4 says, I carry my own load, run my own race, and that is more than enough. Because God is faithful, I am not forgotten. I am being positioned. Psalm 1:3 says, I am like a tree transplanted by streams of water. My fruit is coming, in its season, not someone else's. Because God is love, I am free to release what I've been holding against others. 1 John 4:20 says, I cannot love God and carry hate at the same time. So I choose freedom. I choose to let go. That is Psalm 1, verses 1 through 3. And that is His still, small voice. If this hit home this morning, if you felt that little shift when you smiled, if one of those 3 rules grabbed you by the shoulders, drop a prayer hands in the comments and tell me which rule you needed most today. Was it stop looking back, stop looking sideways, or stop looking ahead? I want to hear your story. And if this conversation meant something to you this morning, tomorrow we're going somewhere I've never gone on this channel before. There's a single verse in Scripture, just one line, that has been mistranslated for centuries. And when you hear what it actually says in the original language, it's going to change the way you talk to yourself for the rest of your life. You don't want to miss that one. Subscribe so it's waiting for you when you wake up. One thought to carry with you today. Sometimes the face has to go first, and the heart follows. So smile, even now, especially now. I love you, and I will see you tomorrow. If this prayer stirred something deep and you feel like you need more than words right now, please don't carry it alone. Reach out to someone you trust, a friend, a pastor, a counselor. You're worth the help, and wise support is one of God's good gifts too. You're not alone. I'm praying for you.